Welcome to another episode of the Four Stream Podcast. We're talking about a kingdom marriage today because we're looking at the different aspects of what life looks like under God's parameters. You know what he envisioned for the household, for the family, for having children, all those different things. Today we focus on marriage, and it's breathtaking to witness what has become of marriage within our recent iterations of what that means. Now, I'm not just talking about, getting rid of things that are archaic and old or whatever. I'm talking about the values that are the underpinnings of a solid and useful, helpful marriage. So today we're going to discuss foundational things which make for a kingdom marriage. That's kind of an odd concept, but bear with me as we develop it a little bit. It's important to understand that marriage between a husband and wife has a primary purpose for this life. It's to produce honor and offspring for God, not for us, merely for us, but honor and offspring for God. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. While marriage is key to finding blessing in the present age, it also has a purpose which modifies and multiplies beyond our lifetime here. And that happens on a lot of different levels, but for the purposes of today, Mark chapter 12, verse 25. For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like the angels in heaven. So things are going to be different there than they are here. And yet we will still be the bride of Christ. So everything always has been about God's extension of oneness and goodness throughout his creation, or the image of God. And a good God marriage will result in oneness and honor to God, kind of the purpose of not only marriage, but also of being human. This will culminate when Jesus' bride, the church, joins him at the marriage supper of the Lamb. And you can see this in Revelation 19:9. And he said to me, "Write, blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb." And he said to me, "These are the true words of God." So a kingdom marriage is one that places the king at the center. Did you get that? A kingdom marriage is one that places the king at the center. And that's not the husband, and that's not the wife being the queen. It's basically the king of the universe being at the center of the marriage. Now, this becomes tricky because selfishness and pride seem to follow the sons of Adam and daughters of Eve wherever we go. So, to live out an honoring marriage, first of all, toward God, then toward one another, we must pursue higher principles, or we're just going to be destined to succumb like the rest of our culture. So, I want to bring out a couple of things just for your thoughts today to think about and ponder a little bit. First of all, the three-way dynamic of a kingdom marriage is that there's honor goes above everything. Okay, so if you got God here and you got a husband here and a wife here, and if the goal is to honor Christ in all things, well, that's what I would call an honorable marriage. And it's a three-way dynamic. When a married man and a woman submit each of their wills to their king, the chances for survival and blessing multiply immensely. And it becomes us against the world rather than having our egos pitted against each other. And I can remember when this started happening in Bernadette's and my marriage, and because you go at it because you're selfish and you're focused on yourself, but then you realize that we're not going to survive this way, and so you decide that it's us against the world. That was a huge pivot for us. Second of all, the quest for humility. And comes out of James chapter 4. He gives greater grace. So you've got honor, but you also have humility. Therefore, it says, God is opposed to the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. Submit therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So there's a spiritual dimension to this. Draw near to God, he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double minded. So when humility reigns in our marriage, peace then becomes welcome at our table. And it's like a chain of events. When you start with honor and you move into humility, that allows us to together pursue what's good. And that's the third thing we were talking about today, relentless pursuit of what is good. This comes out of Hebrews 13. Do not neglect doing good and sharing, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. So when we live lives of doing good and sharing, we not only honor God, but we also honor each other. And that is the goal, right? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is all wrapped together in very clear packages throughout the threads of Scripture. And finally, mutual respect for one another. As long as we consider ourselves better than our partner, superior in some way, we're going to self-destruct. And that's why humility and personal value. So I have to decrease so that somebody else can increase. And that's why when humility and value are a part of a marriage, it changes the dynamic from the core, from the very guts of the marriage. Peter comments on this in 1 Peter 3, verses 8 and 9. To sum up, this is after he's talked about husbands and wives. To sum up, all of you be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly, kind-hearted, humble in spirit, not returning evil for evil or insult for insult, but instead giving a blessing. For you were called for the very purpose that you might inherit a blessing. And that, again, is in the context of marriage, because marriage forms the basis of what family is. And my friend, God is family. A couple of things at the bottom of this particular post. There's an entire Strong Home course where we go through the different principles of marriage and family. You can check that out. And there's also a book review on something that I've used in premarital counseling many times, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. You can find that link and find out where you can get that book. But anyway, it's that whole idea. What is a kingdom marriage? Very simple. It has the king right at the center. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at the number 4 at fourthstream.com. Number 4 at fourthstream.com. See you soon.